Title: A baby shower surprise. My fiancée claimed she was pregnant and began pushing hard for us to buy a house. What she didn't realize was that I'd had a vasectomy. So at the baby shower, I handed her the medical proof right in front of everyone, and congratulated the actual father, who was standing beside her. Hey, Reddit. I'm Tyler, 35, a mechanical engineer based in Austin, Texas. I specialize in designing smart HVAC systems for upscale homes. I'm usually pretty chill, but one thing I'm definitely not is naive. Let me take you back 8 months. At the time, I was engaged to Harper, who was 32. One evening, she walked into our apartment looking like she'd just stepped out of a soap opera, wide-eyed, emotional, and holding up a pregnancy test like it was some sacred relic. The moment I glanced up from my laptop, she burst into tears. "Oh my God, Tyler, we're going to have a baby." I did what any decent fiancé would do. I smiled, hugged her, spun her around, kissed her forehead, and told her I was overjoyed. On the outside, I nailed it. But inside? I wasn't stunned. I wasn't scared. I was calculating. Because there was something Harper didn't know. 2 years before I even met her, I'd had a vasectomy. Long story short, I'd been in a previous relationship that ended badly after a pregnancy scare that shook me to my core. Once the dust settled, I made the decision and had the procedure done. 6 weeks later, it was confirmed: no sperm, no chance of fatherhood. Ever. I never told Harper because we were still in that maybe someday we'll have kids phase. I figured when that day came, we'd talk. But now, someday had suddenly turned into surprise. At first, I considered the impossible. Maybe she had some rare medical anomaly. Maybe my old test had been wrong. But then she opened her mouth and made her intentions crystal clear. "We can't raise a baby in this tiny apartment, Tyler. We need a bigger place, a house. Something with a backyard, maybe a nursery. I've already been looking at listings." Boom. That was her angle. This wasn't a miracle. This was manipulation. She wasn't excited to start a family, she was using a fake pregnancy to upgrade her lifestyle. The tears had barely dried before she was rattling off Zillow links and talking interest rates. She wanted the full dream setup, a big house, the prestige, the cute family photos for Instagram, and she figured a baby was her golden ticket. That's when I knew she'd cheated. She wasn't expecting my child. She was just trying to lock me into 30 years of mortgage payments and nearly 2 decades of child support. But I wasn't playing her game. Now, I could have confronted her on the spot. I could have thrown the vasectomy paperwork in her face and demanded an explanation. But what good would that have done? She would lie. Cry. Gaslight. Maybe even flip the script and accuse me of running from responsibility. This wasn't a situation for rage. It was a situation for strategy. She wanted a baby shower? Perfect. She wanted a celebration with friends, family, and coworkers? Even better. She wanted me to keep playing the role of doting fiancé and proud father-to-be? Say no more. She was about to get the performance of a lifetime. For the next several weeks, I played along flawlessly. I agreed we should start touring homes. I smiled as she rattled off baby names and pointed out Pinterest nurseries. I let her plan the shower down to the last detail, and I even made sure she invited her coworker Liam. Yes, that Liam. The same guy who just happened to be on the out-of-town work trip the exact weekend she would have conceived. I'd already scoped out her Instagram from that weekend. He was in every post, always close by, always smiling. Too close. Liam wasn't just a friend from the office. He was the actual father. But I didn't confront either of them. Instead, I helped put together the crib Liam had graciously built. I smiled and said, "We're lucky to have him around." Honestly, someone should have handed me an Oscar. I told Harper I was excited to move forward and even got pre-approved for a mortgage. Her parents were over the moon. Her mom started bombarding me with Pinterest boards for nursery designs. Her dad pulled me aside for long-winded chats about roofing materials and insulation. I smiled, nodded, and stalled. Meanwhile, I reached out to my urologist and asked for a notarized letter confirming my vasectomy and the subsequent 0 sperm count. It arrived 1 week before the baby shower. I placed it in a gift bag, tied a blue ribbon around it, and tucked in a second envelope addressed to Liam. It was almost time for the grand finale. Harper's parents went all out. Balloons, streamers, champagne, cupcakes shaped like diapers, you name it. It was practically a carnival. Everyone showed up, her family, our mutual friends, her coworkers, including Liam. Liam, playing the role of fun-loving Uncle Liam, was everywhere, grinning, joking, toasting Harper. Acting like he didn't have a single worry in the world. But the curtain was about to fall. I held it together. I mingled. I smiled for photos. I shook hands and accepted congratulations like I was the proud father-to-be. Then it happened. Her mom tapped her glass with a spoon and called for everyone's attention. "Thank you all so much for joining us to celebrate this beautiful blessing," she said, beaming. "Now, Tyler, the soon-to-be father, has a few words he'd like to share." Every eye turned to me. Harper's face lit up like she was about to receive an award. She looked at me, expectantly glowing, thinking I was about to shower her with praise in front of everyone. I raised my glass and stepped forward with a calm smile. "Thanks, everyone, for being here today. It really means a lot. This day has been special, not just because of the baby, but because it reminded me what really makes a family: trust, truthfulness, and genuine love." Harper's mom nodded in approval. Harper looked like she might cry tears of joy. I continued. "In that same spirit, I brought along 2 meaningful gifts today. One for the wonderful mom-to-be, and another for someone who's played a very important part in this story, Liam." There was an awkward pause, followed by chuckles and some uneasy laughter. Harper's smile wavered. Something shifted in her eyes. I handed her the first envelope. She opened it. Her face went pale as she read the contents. You could hear a pin drop. "Harper," I said, loud and clear. "I had a vasectomy 2 years before I ever met you. The document you're holding confirms it. So unless I've become some kind of medical marvel, I think you've got a bit of explaining to do." Dead silence. I turned to Liam and extended the second envelope. "Congrats, man," I said, calm as ever. "Looks like you're the one becoming a dad." Liam's face drained of all color. Harper screamed. He stammered, trying to deny it, but no one was buying it. Her mom fainted, literally dropped to the floor. The guests went from whispering to outright talking. Some people had their phones out. I'm pretty sure some were recording. Harper's father came at me, furious, but I simply raised my hands and said, "She's all yours now." I walked out of that party with my self-respect, my sanity, and my wallet intact. Needless to say, the engagement was over. She tried reaching out afterward, wanting closure. I sent one final message with just 3 words: "Send the invoice." I did say I'd cover half the baby shower expenses, after all. I wish I could tell you that was the end of it. That once Harper had been publicly outed, she vanished in disgrace, Liam went ghost, and I moved on with my life. But narcissists rarely exit quietly. 2 weeks later, I got a legal notice delivered straight to my door. She had hired a lawyer. She was suing me for paternity and child support. Yes, really. Even with a notarized medical document proving I couldn't have fathered the child. Even though I'd never signed the birth certificate. Even though the baby wasn't even born yet. Even after being humiliated in front of 60 people. She still tried to use the legal system to squeeze money out of me. Her attorney argued that because we were engaged, living together, and I had stepped into the role of a father figure, I should be financially responsible. They brought up emotional distress, implied promises, and a supposed verbal agreement. I won't lie, I had a brief flash of panic. The legal system doesn't always favor logic. I've seen plenty of horror stories about men being punished for things they didn't do. But then I remembered, I had been collecting receipts for months. Screenshots. Emails. Text messages. The notarized doctor's letter. Even video footage from the baby shower where Liam raised his glass and toasted Harper as Mama Bear, saying he couldn't wait to meet his little guy. That toast I gave? It had been live-streamed to Facebook by one of the guests. Everything was documented. I hired an aggressive, no-nonsense family attorney worth every dime. He immediately filed a counter-motion. Petition to dismiss due to lack of biological connection. Demand for court-ordered DNA testing. Motion for damages due to harassment and slander. We subpoenaed Liam. We demanded Harper's phone records, including her location history. We also requested hospital pre-registration documents. And guess what? Liam was listed as her emergency contact. Just to be safe, I took a legally admissible DNA test the moment the baby was born. Result? 0% probability. Game over. Except she had one last desperate move. She tried to argue that I had made verbal commitments to be a father to the child. That she had relied on those promises and felt abandoned. My lawyer calmly handed the judge a copy of my vasectomy record along with a transcript of Harper at the baby shower, saying, "Liam's been so supportive, he's basically already the baby's uncle." The judge reviewed the documents, looked at Harper, and said, simply, "Ma'am, this court does not reward deception. Case dismissed. Permanently." I packed up and moved out 2 days later. I blocked Harper on everything. When she showed up at my job sobbing, I filed a cease and desist. I told my security team to notify me immediately if she ever returned. She didn't. As for Liam? Word on the street is his girlfriend dumped him after the baby shower video made the rounds on TikTok. I didn't post it, but someone else clearly did. Not my problem. Not mad about it either. Harper? Still living with her parents. Last I heard, she's trying to convince Liam to step up and be a father. Good luck with that. He's not exactly racing to build a crib after becoming a viral sensation for being the surprise dad at another man's baby shower. It's been 8 months. I bought a new place, nothing fancy, but it's quiet, clean, paid off, and fully mine. No pressure, no house shopping lists, no manipulation. A few months ago, I started dating again. The woman I'm seeing now is grounded, sincere. When we talked about kids, I told her everything. She just nodded and said, "That's your choice." I respect that. No guilt. No games. Just honesty. Fellas, if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut. Harper didn't just betray me, she tried to lock me into a lifetime of responsibility for a lie. But because I kept my cool, kept records, and waited for the right moment, I walked away untouched, no payments, no stress, no regrets. Best revenge? Peace. Freedom. And knowing I'm not funding someone else's fantasy life with my paycheck.